Unusually long lines on this primary election day, including late into the night. And we continue to see some of the big results come in.
Yeah, State Representative James Tallarico won the Democratic nomination for U.S. Senate in one of the most watched races on the ballot.
KHU 11's Jalissa Garza joins us live this morning at the West Gray polling location in Houston. All right, Jalissa, why was the turnout so big? What drove so many people to the polls?
Hey, good morning. Yeah, primary elections typically see lower voter turnout, but that certainly wasn't the case this time around. And it's not really surprising because when early voting started for this primary election, on day one, we saw really strong numbers, and that momentum carried into election day last night. Now, this location here on West Gray had very, very long lines. I mean, wrapped outside of the building. Take a look at your screen. We do have some video to show you just how busy it was here last night. Now, the lines from day into the night wrapping around the tennis courts as voters rushed to make the 7 o'clock deadline. Now, some voters waited 30 minutes to about an hour to cast their ballot, but many told us the wait was worth it. Even after polls closed at 7 p.m., voters already in line were still able to vote, with some locations across Harris County still processing voters hours later. Now, political experts say part of what drove that turnout was several competitive races at the top of the ticket, including the Democratic primary for U.S. Senate, which we now know James Tallarico has won.
Texas typically is basically at the bottom of the list when it comes to turnout. So the fact that the states come to vote is a really good and welcome sign. I think the fact that this is happening is really indicative of the case that you're seeing a national trend in terms of voter enthusiasm.
Now, Harris County election officials say turnout looked more like a presidential primary than a midterm, with more than 200,000 people casting ballots on election day alone. Now, coming up in the next half hour, we're going to break down another big storyline from last night. Several Texas races are now headed to a runoff. Again, that's coming up in the next half hour. For now, I'll go ahead and send it back to you guys in the studio.
Okay, Jalissa, thank you for that update. Let's turn to another big race on the ballot. Congressional District 18, one of the districts that was drastically redrawn by Texas lawmakers last summer. Congressman Christian Menefee won the recent special election to finish the term of the late Sylvester Turner. With redistricting, Congressman Al Green moved from the 9th district to the 18th. However, right now we can tell you the race is tight between Menefee and Congressman Al Green. If you take a look, Menefee is at almost 46% of the vote. Green is at 44.5%. But again, only 84% of precincts have reported. So those numbers could change throughout the morning, and we're going to keep an eye on it for you. Those were the Democrats. But the point of redistricting was to give Republicans an edge in the historically Democratic district. So here are the Republican candidates for District 18. As you take a look, Whitfield has taken the victory here for the Republican race in District 18. Now, the race for Fort Bend County Judge is another one that we're watching closely, considering Judge K.P. George switched from Democrat to Republican after getting hit with criminal charges related to his previous re-election campaigns. Republican Daniel Wong took home more than half the votes. George came out with only 8%. And here's a look at the Democrats hoping to replace George. Dexter McCoy led the election with 40% of the vote, but now this race will also head to a runoff. This is just the start of our primary elections results coverage. Throughout the morning, we will be covering several other key races. And ahead in our next half hour, Professor Mike Yon joins us live in studio to explain what these results mean for you.
All right, this morning we're watching